Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Anthony Lenetti Show right here on YouTube. This is the Scoop Slam Report. Let me make sure mic levels are good. We are good. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone is okay, whether you're listening to this live or in post-production, or should we say just on YouTube after the fact that this was live today. We have got some interesting things to talk about on today's show. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to Clash at the Castle. Some new news and rumors, some speculation to talk about when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. A couple of things I just need you to do is to make sure to hit the like button on this video, and make sure, if you are not already subscribed, to make sure to subscribe to the channel for today's Pro Wrestling in 2024, the Scoop Slam Report. Does Drew McIntyre walk out of Scotland, the world heavyweight champion? A lot to consider when it comes to that. We got Ricochet potentially leaving the WWE. Big things could be happening for Ricochet if he does leave the WWE or stays with WWE, which we'll talk about later in the show. And we also have Forbidden Door coming up. And I did have a few notes on Forbidden Door and what to expect. If you are new or just joining in, this is kind of like the new show that I have, brought to the table here for my channel. And I'm hoping to have this on Spotify in the coming future. I'm hoping to have the show available on podcast platforms. That's still kind of a work in progress right now at the moment, but that's what I'm kind of hoping to do when it comes to the show. And I'm excited to have the show be available in audio format for you all to listen to, and have hopefully a whole playlist of things to show you guys, down the road, because we are going to have a bunch of Scoop Slam reports with guests and with solo ones like this one, and kind of go over wrestling in 2024 and go over some different things when it comes to, just everything professional wrestling. So I'm excited for that journey to take place. So let's dive right into it, actually, with some AEW and WWE speculation. And like I said, this is speculation. And there's a few things I did want to kind of talk about in here that I thought kind of, stood out to me, at least a little bit. And, some of this stuff I think is a little minor. Obviously, the Ricochet stuff has been a big thing on social media. And we'll talk about what kind of happened on Monday Night Raw. And some of these things are just outside people that are not in WWE or AEW, just kind of, I think, trying to get their name out there. Oh, what's going on? It is skipping a little bit. That's not good. Let's check out what's going on with that. And shout out to my dad and Gianna also in the chat. I don't know why. That might just be an internet issue. That's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. We should check it out over here. I don't know. Now I can't say anything. Still breaking through with the tech issues, I guess. I'm just trying to see, because on my end now, we've kind of slowed down. I'm not sure what's going on here. The banner should be up too. Hopefully we're still good. Hopefully it's not too jumpy. I'm gonna have to work on this in a little bit. Anyway, Booker T is said to have his contract expiring. He told this online, I believe, on his show. With Booker T, I'm not really, I'm not really like the biggest fan of his work on commentary right now on NXT. I don't think it's the best. When it comes to him being there with Vic Joseph. But now we're frozen. I don't know what's going on. Let's take that off, maybe. I guess it's, oh wow, now this is happening now too. Like my whole thing is just disrupting. I don't know. Don't know how I'm gonna fix that. All right. Hopefully now we should be good. I got 11 people in here right now, and all of course my stuff is going down. Looks a lot better now. Okay. So I don't know. Fresh take, Jakey Bakey. What's going on, man? Having some technical issues with the live show. Trying to fix them right now. Let's see if we're buffering now. I think we're good now. Thank you, Fresh Take. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just trying to make sure that we're not freezing in and out here. If I try to do something here, but now it's starting to lag again. So I guess it is just the banner maybe that's doing it. All right. So maybe it was just the banner. All right. Well, it's all things we're going to have to work on, I guess, when it comes to the future. But I think for now we're okay. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to do the show regularly, and hopefully it doesn't buffer. Maybe it's just an internet thing. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get back. I was talking about Booker T, and then this all crumbled. So let's do it from the top. Let's just do it from the top. Booker T's contract is expiring with WWE. He's been on NXT. He's been a commentator for quite some time with Vic Joseph. To me, I don't really like Booker T in the commentary role. To me, I think he would be better suited in a role where he could be an on-screen personality. He could be a general manager. To me, I'm not really the biggest fan of him being on commentary with Vic. I think it kind of takes away from NXT. With that being said, I like Booker T a lot. Joe Clark is in the chat. What's up, Joe? He's my guy. Favorite tag team? We'll talk. I guess we'll talk about it in a little bit, but on top of my head, Dudley's. But like I said, he's been on commentary for quite a while with NXT. I don't really think that he really needs to be on NXT, if I'm being quite honest. But I wouldn't be, surprised if WWE do re-sign him. I'm not sure how much Booker T is going to be, able to keep doing his thing. I mean, as time goes on, people retire. People like to kind of stay out of the limelight too. But you never know. I mean, if Booker T's having fun with what he's doing, half the stuff he says is coherent. Yeah. No, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I forgot I can't show chats because it's slowing down. Um, so sorry, I want to show you guys chats, but I can't because it's buffering. So, um, half the time he's just not really putting on, I think, the best, when it comes to doing commentary. And I'm not trying to be overly critical, but it's just kind of that's my perception, and I think that's other people's perceptions of what, is kind of going on with commentary in NXT. I don't think it's a very good setup right now. I think Vic's great. I just think Booker T's a little bit, too much in it for himself. That's just my take on things. That's not also a diss to Booker T at all. What's going on, Curbs? It's not a diss to Booker T at all. It's just more so the fact that, I don't think, Booker is just not really my favorite commentator. So I don't personally know what Booker T is going to do, whether they end up re-signing him and he's going to stay on commentary. This was also something that came up a year ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but this was something that was, coming up, I believe, around this same time. So, he could just be saying it to try to just, put something out there and maybe only signed a year. I'm not sure. But it'd be interesting to see what kind of Booker T does going forward. I'm gonna try to put up a chat right now to see if it does lag it. Um, I'm gonna see what kind of happens there. Because the last time we were fine, we were really fluent. Um, okay, so it's not that bad. So it's not that bad. It's a little choppy. It's a little choppy, but it's not that bad. Okay. All right. That makes me feel a lot better. Um Thank you, Fresh Jake, for the thumbs up. Jake, the tribal chief, now the aerial assassin, is in the chat. What's going on, Jake? How are you doing, my man? Appreciate you being here, Jake. Um, but yeah, that's all I really have on Booker T. Like I said, I don't know what's really gonna happen with him and his contract situation, but we'll kind of go and we'll see what kind of happens. I'm assuming he will stay on NXT and continue to do commentary. One person that we are not sure what is going to happen with is Ricochet. So let's break down the whole Ricochet situation and kind of go over point by point what we could kind of expect from Ricochet leaving or possibly heading to AEW, maybe New Japan, or maybe doing what Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali have been doing, and that's kind of touring the independent scene. All very cool things, in my opinion. To do that, Ricochet could end up going somewhere to another promotion and become a very big star for himself. Do I think Ricochet is going to go to AEW and be a game changer? We've seen a lot of game changers go over to AEW that have had that quota, and I don't think really have filled the quota. And I think that also, can be said a little bit too for WWE when it comes to them re-signing talent. Um, I think there's always going to be more, hype that comes down to it, why people get really excited for certain wrestlers to show up. It just gives that excitement. It gives an authenticity. It gives, more drive to really the whole stigma of WWE and AEW being in a war kind of thing. Um, so, with Ricochet and his contract, we had on Monday Night Raw Braun Breaker power slam Ricochet onto a car windshield, right? Ricochet gets stretchered off, and Samantha Irvin comes over, and, Ricochet's getting stretchered off. She comes into the ambulance, and Braun Breaker has looked like a beast out of all of this. He has not had really a rivalry other than Ricochet right now. Now, why would WWE decide to, put Samantha Irving in this spot with Ricochet? Obviously, because they go out, number one. But if Ricochet is going to be written off, would they have added Samantha Irving to run out there to Ricochet. It's an interesting point, to really make. Now, as far as this being written off, the reports that we had where Ricochet put in his notice that he wasn't going to re-sign with WWE. That does not mean his contract has expired with WWE. Those are two very big things that I think people are kind of taking for granted in this situation, is that Ricochet has not confirmed nor denied whether or not he put his notice in and whether or not he has a contract that has been re-signed or that he is not going to sign to go somewhere else. So I'll give you kind of my breakdown of things and what I think's kind of going to kind of take place. Ricochet could end up leaving and heading over to All Elite Wrestling or New Japan, and this could be their way of doing it in a way that still helps build Ricochet, just in case Ricochet does resign and come back. Because now that they have built this kind of feud, now Ricochet could come right back into WWE and have something to do with Braun Breaker. I'm going to take the banner down just real quick to maybe hopefully stop the lag if that's where that's coming from. We'll find out or not, though. So, that could be something there for Ricochet. He could come back right into WWE and kind of splash into a feud with Braun Breaker. If he doesn't re-sign, then that was their way of sending him off. And, I'm not going to say never to return to WWE because I think Ricochet probably could return to WWE. We've seen it with Jon Moxley before. That's something that has not been brought up by people either. Jon Moxley was written off of WWE television with Drew McIntyre, putting him through the announce table, and Kana Renee Young, at the time she was a commentator on Raw, she was hovering over a fallen Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose went over to AEW. That was the way he was written off of WWE programming. Now, obviously, this is a different regime, a different promotion in WWE led by Triple H. At the time, that was Vince McMahon doing. But I'm really curious to see whether or not Ricochet does come back. Because to me, I feel as if you are going to have Ricochet get stretchered out, ambulance and everything, and have Samantha Irving, come into the ambulance with him and send him out, I could definitely see this being an angle, and we see a return in Ricochet. Now, this return could also mean that he has a match with Braun Breaker at a PLE or Monday Night Raw, and then Ricochet is written off. Because at least then Ricochet could have a little bit of revenge, do this small little angle, and then go off. Again, the other possibility here is WWE have had Ricochet re-signed, and they're going to build this angle, and it is going to, stretch over a couple months. Maybe Ricochet takes a few weeks off, and then he comes back to get revenge on Braun Breaker. These are all possibilities that could be really credible. Do I think that Ricochet is for sure staying with WWE? No, I don't. And I know it's believing reports, but WWE haven't really considered Ricochet to be a main event guy. Now, there is a lot more to just wrestling than being considered in the main event. There are people that want to get paid because they are great at what they do. And that is something that Ricochet deserves. Ricochet deserves a lot of money because he is a great professional wrestler. Hands down at the end of the day, he is a great professional wrestler. Does Ricochet want to be the world champion? Does Ricochet want to be the top guy to hold, a big championship in a company? That could be something that Ricochet wants to check off. Ricochet may want to step in a ring again with Will Ospreay and some people that he hasn't wrestled before, like Jon Moxley, like a Bryan Danielson, like an Adam Copeland, that he hasn't been able to do in a one-on-one setting. He'll be able to do that in AEW for less dates and potentially more money. Now, is there an offer that AEW has put out there? I don't know. But another promotion that could use a big star could be New Japan. New Japan could greatly use another big star like Ricochet. They used Matt Riddle. Once Matt Riddle was released from WWE, his 90 days came up. Matt Riddle went to New Japan. I believe I forget which championship he won, but he did win a championship there for a little bit. I believe lost to Zack Sabre Jr. But then you look at what Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali have been able to do on the independent scene. Ricochet could totally go right into a thriving TNA wrestling. They could go right in there and make an impact. Ricochet could go into MLW and instantly be a world heavyweight champion. That's the kind of star we're talking about here in Ricochet. So I do want to kind of gauge, what you kind of guys think. Um, I had a thing in the banner for, a question, will Ricochet head to AEW? But, you know, we can kind of sound off in the chat and you guys can kind of let me know what you guys think about Ricochet potentially heading to AEW or New Japan, or whether he stays in the WWE. Now, Curbs has a comment here and says, I'm usually not the type of guy who typically pushes this narrative, but I don't think it's unlikely that Ricochet leaving WWE is a work. And I agree with you. There is a ton of possibility that this whole thing is an angle to help build Ricochet and to help build, WWE, get Braun Breaker to a bigger point while also doing Ricochet to, getting Ricochet to that bigger point. Because, like I said, Ricochet is a great professional wrestler. But sometimes what ends up happening is you can be a great talent, but some of the time, what really drives us to really caring about these wrestlers is we can feel them emotionally. You know, so many people, so many people gravitated towards Cody Rhodes because of the emotions he has about his dad. He wanted to do the one thing for his dad and he couldn't, but that goal became his own. And so Cody strived to do that. There are people that have an emotional investment to Roman Reigns as well, because Roman Reigns is that, he was that final boss, the bad guy that always got that win in the end. They had that emotional connection, the family drama, that element to it. There is a lot at stake there when it comes to, making these characters. So I think this would add a lot of emotion to Ricochet if that does happen. Let's pull up a comment here from Fresh Take, Jakey Bakey. Now that Adam Copeland is on the shelf, AEW is in need of more star power. I would disagree with that. And the reason why I say that is because they do have a lot of talent. MJF just came back, so I think they'll be okay. And, you are going to get to see, hopefully Adam Cole and Kenny come back at some point. But you have a lot of guys there that could instantly become stars. Steven Chambers is in the chat. Steven says that Ricochet and the ring announcer are getting married, possibly. He's talking about Samantha Irving. Could see that happening very shortly. And if that does happen, this could be why he has, a break, But we'll see. We'll see what kind of happens with that. Curbs has another comment about Ricochet situation. Obviously, want to see Ricochet on my TV screen as an exclusive WWE viewer, but I would completely understand if he goes elsewhere. It could be the world champion. He could be the world champion anywhere else. I agree. I could see, him be a world champion in another promotion and stand out. I don't know if he really would be a world champion in WWE. I think, Ricochet would need a lot more, character, that emotion that I was just talking about. And I think that could happen if WWE decide to go through, with this angle and they continue it on, because a lot of people, they care about Samantha Irving. They have that attachment because, again, Samantha has been a big staple of WWE programming over the past year on Monday Night Raw. A lot of people like, what she's done. And, Braun to me could definitely be that heel that decides to get in Samantha's face, that decides to really, lean into what he did to Ricochet. I could totally see that happening. Steven Chambers says he wouldn't mind seeing Ricochet versus Osprey or Ricochet versus Ray Phoenix. Some big matches there. And Steven also says AEW paying Monet way too much. I don't actually know how much her contract is, but I mean, I'm a big Sasha Banks fan, Mercedes. I think, she's done a great job. Mick Thompson, Mick Loves Wrestling. That's his new username. What's up, Mick? Um, I don't know how much Mercedes is making, but I know she's definitely worth it. I think Mercedes is a great professional wrestler, and Ricochet also deserves the money too. There's something to be said about a lot of this contract stuff that's coming up with WWE. There's a lot of news on stuff, but we really don't know where it's headed. Gable's deal was set to expire soon, but he was announced for Clash at the Castle. So these reports could be totally, incorrect too. That there's a lot to be said about wrestling reports. So uh, I don't know. I don't know really what's gonna come when it comes to Ricochet and whether he stays or goes. Should I stay or should I go? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. CEO thumbs down. Steven Chambers is not a big Mercedes Monet fan. I'm assuming. I'm assuming. I'm not a big fan of the theme song. I will say. I think the AEW can develop a little bit of a better theme song, but um, that's just my opinion. A couple of other, tad bits. Kevin Kelly regrets joining AEW, saying that it affected his mental health. Kevin Kelly, of course, was the commentator on Collision. Just a small thing I thought I'd talk about here. Not really speculation, but something he put out there. I don't know if he's trying to fuel the fire between, AEW and whatnot, but at least the drama online. But I thought Kevin Kelly, he did well in the beginning of Collision, and then there was a lot of backstage stuff that came out that I'm not sure. I mean, obviously we weren't there to see what kind of went on, um, but yeah, I mean Kevin Kelly to me, he has bright spots as a commentator, and I do enjoy listening to him. But if he is trying to, sabotage or, you know, just kind of not be a cool person, then I don't see why he should be in AEW or, a lot of wrestling promotions for that matter. I think Kevin Kelly kind of just needs to chill out and take a step back and kind of realize what, how he affects other people when it not just comes to wrestling, but just everyone as people. And other news as well, Sabu wants one more match and wants to do it in either AEW or GCW. Now, Sabu said he would love to do it in Game Changer Wrestling and AEW, he said, for the money. So, I know Sabu hasn't been the best also when it comes to social media. As character wise, when I was a kid, I love Sabu. I love the whole vibe that ECW brought of the the hardcore style, the wrestling kind of thing. It kind of had me memorized to wrestling. There was a lot of things that had me interested in wrestling when I was a kid. It was Undertaker, it was John Cena, and it was ECW being a brand in WWE because that was the Ruthless Aggression era. So I like Sabu. I do like Sabu, but you know I don't really get some of the things he's posted online, some of the things he said. Again, I think it's just a situation of sometimes we just have to kind of step back and realize what we're saying as people and how it affects other people. I don't know if he'll have another match or have a match period in AEW because he never had a match to begin with. Game Changer Wrestling, GCW, I could totally see him doing that. But I know he has back issues, so I'm not sure if the back issues are, going to be a factor in him being able to wrestle again. So it's interesting to speculate and think about because if there was a match that Sabu was going to have in AEW, it'd probably be against RVD one last time. I know some people might say, Darby Allin. I don't know if he would wrestle Darby Allin at this point in his career, because if he is trying to train just for one last match, I'm not sure that, him and Darby would live up to the expectations that some people would want, you know, from a Sabu 20 years ago compared to now. But, it definitely could happen in GCW. Let's put up some comments here before we get to our Clash at the Castle overview. Excuse me, easy for me to say overview, and other things going on that are confirmed news. D-Man is in the chat. How you doing, D-Man? I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope you're doing well, my man. Um, Curbs said unrelated, but why so many champion versus champion matches in wrestling recently? Rhodes versus Paul for one title, Strickland versus Osprey for one title. Yeah, I mean it is kind of a strange trend. I don't know why. I think maybe it goes back to a lack of challengers, a lack of built up challengers. Maybe. Um, I don't know. It is a good question to ask, though. I think a lot of it also it has to do with marketing. It's an easy market to do title versus title match. Maybe not a title for title match, but just having the idea of a champion taking on another champion. It makes it interesting. It does make it interesting a little bit when it comes to that. We got some Mercedes Monet talk. Steven said he wasn't the biggest fan of the CEO. Jake said that she is definitely pronouns. She is definitely worth the money that she is getting paid, and she's bringing a lot more prestige to the TBS Championship. Steven agreed or disagreed with that. I definitely think she does bring a level of interest to AEW, and can bring a bigger interest to the women's division in AEW. I know she has a match at Forbidden Door, and I know sometimes Forbidden Door isn't the biggest storyline show, so it'll be interesting to see what she does at All In. I'm curious to see what that is. I don't know if she'll have a rematch with Willow Nightingale down the road, a match with Tony Storm, champion versus champion, possibly. Um, but the potential, feuds that they can do. I mean, they could even do maybe Saraya versus Mercedes Monet, because there's a history there with the whole injury thing. So I could definitely see that. And I also don't like this theme song as well, Steven. I think she should change the theme song, if I'm being honest. Curb says perhaps, but May and June are wrestling downtime, so needing matches like that seems unnecessary, especially when it leads to a situation like what's going on with Strickland and Osprey. That one I was kind of confused about, because I thought that, Osprey and Strickland would have been for All In. And I thought that would have been the build up to that match, maybe a longer build between the Continental Champion and the World Champion. Maybe Osprey relinquishes the one title so he can focus on going after the World Championship. I thought that would have been something, interesting to do. I'm assuming that Don Callis will turn on Will Osprey, or potentially Swerve turns heel. I'm not exactly sure, but I think, WWE and AEW some of the time, instead of building a challenger up, um, can put another champion in and kind of build that up. I mean, that I think was the case for King of the Ring, because, a lot of the guys that could face Cody, they would rather have put in the King of the Ring tournament. So I think that's what they decided to really do when it came to Logan and Cody. I'm assuming when it came to Strickland and Osprey, they just wanted to do it for Forbidden Door because they didn't have anyone else they wanted to put on the New Japan side against Swerve. That's me guessing. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what kind of the thought process was there. But I definitely get what you mean, though. There's a lot of champion versus champion matches that have been going on right now in the world of WWE. I know a lot of people have been wanting to talk about Clash at the Castle, so we'll get to Clash at the Castle right now. We got Piper Niven versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship here. This should be a great showing for Piper Niven. I'm excited to see what she does in a singles fashion. I believe this is her second chance at a world championship. She had one against Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble a few years ago, I believe. It was either Becky or it was Bianca. Someone can um, fact correct me on that, on who Piper Niven. She was Dewdrop at the time, but it was at the 2022 Royal Rumble, I believe. This match here, I think it's going to go to Bayley. I think WWE are going to build out a Bayley and Piper Niven match for Clash at the Castle. Or I'm sorry, a Nia Jax and Bayley match at SummerSlam. So I don't see Piper Niven winning the championship. It would be interesting to see whether or not Piper would win, but I think Bayley, retains here. Maybe Chelsea Green inadvertently cost Piper the match. Um, it was against Becky. It was when Becky was going by big time Bex. Thank you, Jake. That's what I was thinking, that it was that's what I was kind of thinking. I was either Becky or Bianca. They kind of traded the belt a few times, I feel like, during that period. Still too early for Bayley to drop the title. Although, if my predictions come true, no Scots are going over in Scotland, so I don't know. Interesting. Bayley needs extra security to get out of Scotland. It could, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the crowd does turn and they decide to have Piper Niven win. I don't know. But I think for this one, Bayley wins. But it should be a great match. It should be a great match and a good showing for Piper Niven. I think Piper Niven, she's been doing a tag thing with Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green has been doing great character work, and Piper Niven has been able to kind of, bring it in the ring. But I think a singles match will, show how much more she can bring, being in a one-on-one compared to being on a two-on-two. And speaking of two-on-two matches, we have a triple threat tag team match. This is for the tag team titles, the Unholy Union, Baszler and Starks, and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. This is for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. This one, I believe, is going to probably go to Bianca and Jade Cargill, unless there is some kind of miscommunication between Jade and Bianca. I would not mind seeing the Unholy Union win the tag team titles. It is a triple threat tag team match. So, necessarily Jade and Bianca don't have to be pinned. I think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, I think that if given the opportunity, they could be a great heel team to help elevate the tag team division. If you've watched a lot of my earlier shows, oh my computer audio just came on. If you've watched a lot of my earlier shows, you will know that I am a big proponent for a women's mid-card championship. I've not been the biggest fan of WWE having the women's tag team titles, just because you run out of teams after a while, and sometimes you do have to do makeshift teams like Bianca and Jade. With that said, though, I think a women's mid-card championship would do better to elevate people that aren't in teams, or that, could be teams in WWE, and they could kind of, go after a women's mid-card championship. I think it would be better for both brands. But I don't think that's going to happen, because we've talked about that for so long, and I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I'm going to go with the rest of the chat with Jade and Bianca retaining here. But if there was a team I'd like to see win out of this, would be the Unholy Union. I think WWE should do a little more with that. Let's pull up some comments here, because Curb said God himself would struggle to take those titles from Jade and Bianca. Save the tension for Money in the Bank. Good idea, Steven. I could see that. Jade and Bianca retains. Oh, what's going on? Bianca and Jade win easily and dominantly. I don't know how dominant they should win here. I don't know how to feel. Like, I understand they are, powerhouses, but I don't think it should be a complete dominant, affair. I think that, Shayna Baszler is a former NXT Women's Champion. She should be a former World Champion in WWE on the main roster, but that has not happened yet. She
beat Ronda Rousey, sent her out of WWE. Zoe Starks is still um, a great competitor that I think still wants to, prove herself. And on the Unholy Union, this is a great opportunity to prove themselves because they were tag team champions at one point. And Steven's right, they do have the home field advantage. So, I think that the Unholy Union should have, some big offense here. It shouldn't just be a dominant affair. So, that's where I kind of stand when it comes to that. Now, moving into our other match, we got Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. This one, I think, could go either way. I think you will see Otis turn on Chad Gable in this match and the rest of Alpha Academy. However, just because they turn does not mean Chad Gable does not walk out of the Clash at the Castle PLE. It could very well mean that Chad Gable gets the W and wins the Intercontinental Championship. My money is going to be on Sami Zayn to retain against Chad Gable. However, I don't think their feud is over. I think they will have another match potentially at Money in the Bank. I think that Chad Gable may still get the Intercontinental Championship off of Sami Zayn by making a new Alpha Academy with the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. But it could very well happen at Clash at the Castle with Gable, using Otis, helping him win. Maybe potentially Otis accidentally, hits Sami Zayn, and that creates, an opening for Chad Gable to win the title. Because, it looks like excuse me, it looks like right now that Otis is getting ready to turn. The crowd is really behind Otis. I wouldn't be against seeing a Gable and Otis Intercontinental Championship match. I think there might be some money there. But, Sami Zayn was the guy that beat Gunther. Is it really soon to be taking the Intercontinental Championship off of Sami Zayn after having that long title run? It could very well be that, that case. Does Sammy at least hold it for 100 days, then lose it? That could kind of be where WWE's mindset is keeping that championship on Sami Zayn because he did just come off of beating Gunther, who was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. So I think it's a toss-up here between Zayn or Gable. It's a great storyline. It's been one of the storylines that have been keeping Raw up, while Raw has not had CM Punk or Seth Rollins on the show or Cody Rhodes on the show. So they've done a great job here building this up. If I had to pick a definitive winner, I'm going to go with Sami Zayn because I think this is where Otis finally snaps and turns on Gable. But I don't think that Chad Gable and Sami Zayn are done as a feud. We got some comments for Sami Zayn. Otis turns on Gable. Curbs thinks it's time for a title change. It saddens me that Gunther's reign would go to a short reign, and I love Sami, but it's time for Gable to win the title. The other thing to consider is we all love Sami Zayn. We really do. But with that said, does Sami Zayn need to be champion for a year? Sami Zayn is technically already a made guy, and one of his goals was to be a world champion at the end of the day, and that hasn't happened yet. And, Sami for a short run could, to his credit, have, beating Gunther, having a great feud with Chad Gable, and really elevating Alpha Academy again. Because if we're being honest, Alpha Academy hasn't really been all that built up, really since Chad Gable wrestled Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. They were on the back burner. So Sami with this feud has really brought Alpha Academy, almost said American Alpha, Alpha Academy, really back into the limelight and into a big picture. So, we could see, a championship change, and I don't think it's going to hurt Sami Zayn's credibility. I think Chad Gable as Intercontinental Champion would be awesome, especially with this new heel gimmick that Chad Gable has been rocking out. So we'll have to see with due time, but Curbs may have a point here. Chad Gable could walk out WWE Intercontinental Champion. Very well could happen. Steven says, new IC champion, Creed's turning heel, helping Gable. Otis causes Gable to lose. Gable and Creed's managing by Angle. Interesting. That would be great. Although now that I think about it, if Gable beats Zayn in Toronto, the heat would be nuclear. There you go. I believe Money in the Bank is in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So could be interesting to see where that kind of goes from there. Before we get to the two big championship matches, I am going to take a sip of my water, but I did want to let you guys know that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do hit the like on this video to help boost it with the YouTube algorithm. If you guys want to, memberships are open. I believe there's a $2.99, a $4.99. I think that's it. There might be a 10 one, but I was kind of thinking about not putting that one, but there's a $2.99, $4.99, and I believe a $9.99 that are open right now. So if you do want to join the memberships, you can. You'll still get the same stuff as usual, but I believe you get Scoop Slam and the Anthony Lenny Show emoji out of it. And, it just helps better support the channel when it comes to that stuff. So I'd appreciate anyone that goes ahead and does that. Hit the like button or you're fined. Oh, that was fired. I'm sorry. Not even fined. You're fired. Wow. I'm missing my, for some reason, I can't see the R for some reason, but I'm assuming you meant fired. But yeah, anybody that goes the extra mile to do that, I appreciate that so much. That, anyone that super chats, super thanks. I think super chat and super thanks, same thing, right? Maybe not. I don't know. But if you do the memberships, I'd really appreciate that. It just helps further support the channel and, helps further support the show. And if you do want to see me do this on a consistent basis, that would help. But if you're here right now, just jamming out, I appreciate that so much. Hollow Nova's in the chat. What's going on, my man Miles? How are you doing tonight? We are talking about Clash with the Castle still. We got two big World Championship matches. Let's talk about AJ and let's talk about Cody Rhodes in the I Quit match. I don't think this match main events the show. I think Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest main event the show because Drew McIntyre is getting that homecoming feel in Scotland. So let's talk about AJ and Cody. For everyone that has been saying there's no story to Cody's championship run, you have been proven wrong. Okay? There is a story now. AJ Styles, literally, in the middle of the ring, faked his retirement, and they are building this match very well, very nicely, in an I Quit match for the WWE Championship. Is it on par with the Bloodline storyline? Maybe not, right? I mean, it's going to be very hard to top the Bloodline storyline. But for everyone that has been saying that the championship run is mid and Cody's a mid champion, shut up. Just shut up. And if you watch the show, you can clearly see that WWE do want to build stories with Cody's run. Now, is AJ Styles going to walk out the WWE champion? No. Cody Rhodes is going to retain. Is it going to be a great wrestling match? It's going to be a phenomenal, pun intended, wrestling match between these two men. I am just kind of like sick and hearing, I get it, people miss Roman Reigns. I'm somebody that misses Roman Reigns too. But guess what? Roman Reigns was a great champion, but that's over. Roman Reigns did not need to be champion after WrestleMania. He's not been seen after WrestleMania. He wasn't probably going to show up till SummerSlam or WrestleMania even. So having the belt on Cody was the right decision. End of story. I might be, one of the Cody crybabies at this point now, but I'm also saying this not even as a Cody fan, but as a Roman Reigns fan, and as a fan of the WWE title, because the WWE title is on every week. It's shown every week because Cody Rhodes is on the show. So again, you can hate Cody Rhodes if you want. I personally think Cody has a great story. The championship run is just kind of getting in that phase where it's still on the beginning path, but now we're getting some serious feuds here with Cody Rhodes. And it probably is going to pick up with a Randy Orton feud at SummerSlam or The Rock. Now, is there more that could be done with Cody Rhodes? Yeah. But when I also look at the PLE schedule, there isn't so much time for WWE to really build credible threats when you think about the short distance King of the Ring and uh, this show, Clash at the Castle, is. And I kind of understood why they did the Logan Paul match at King of the Ring now, because this kind of gave time for AJ to lose against Cody, to lose against Orton, to have to learn he has to work his way back up again, and to kind of do that fake retirement thing. It gave more of a story, and that's what they kind of had to do with Cody. Is they have to keep doing intriguing storytelling. With his matches, it can't just be great matches all the time. It has to be, some stories in there. And I think at some point they're going to pull the trigger on Randy Orton and have him challenge Cody and go heel, because I think Orton is a much better heel than he is a baby face. But with that said, let's pull up Curb's comment here before I make my picks here. In my opinion, I still think there's a lot more that could be done with Cody. I'd still like to see some challenges to his character. I agree with you with that, Curbs. I definitely think that when it comes to Cody Rhodes, you do have to excuse me, you do have to, you know, you have to really show that he is, he has weaknesses. He has struggles. But we did come off such an intense feud at WrestleMania with The Rock and Roman Reigns that I think WWE don't want to turn that dial all the time, because then it gets sickening. Curb says Cody wins, by the way. Didn't even feel I need to say that. I love Cody. Glad he's champ. Don't think he'll ever live up to Roman Reigns, but he doesn't need to. Thank you. That's the other thing, is that you're comparing two different championship runs where Roman Reigns was purely about the obsession to be number one, to be acknowledged by the audience. Cody Rhodes is acknowledged by the audience and wants to be the champion that he, saw his dad be in the NWA, that he saw many of his favorites be. He wants to be the guy that is the quarterback to the WWE. That's what his championship run really is. Steven Chambers says, need the Legend Killer back. I love the Legend Killer gimmick, man, but I think the closest we got to that was 2020 during the pandemic. I don't think you're going to see a Legend Killer gimmick in WWE anytime soon. Because, also, Randy Orton's OG theme, Burning My Light, what a great theme song. But I really don't think you're going to see another, Legend Killer run with Randy Orton. I would love to see it. I really would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to, happen. Now, is there a chance AJ Styles walks out the WWE champion at Clash at the Castle? No, I don't think so. I don't think that Cody Rhodes, loses this championship this close after winning it. I made a similar short about this with Backlash when they first wrestled. Of course, there's, going to be a chance always in wrestling of, the challenger upsetting the champion or wrestler B beating wrestler A. But to me, AJ is doing a great job in a heel, kind of run. And this is probably going to move AJ onto more things after this is over. Cody Rhodes is going to retain that championship and probably, like I said earlier, move to Randy Orton for a SummerSlam feud. We still have Money in the Bank, so they could put somebody else in there, like a Santos Escobar, to wrestle Cody Rhodes, but we'll have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. You still got Solo Sikoa, who also could challenge Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship at some point. So there's a lot to be said with Cody's title run. It's definitely not over. It's only just beginning, and Cody's going to retain the championship. So just like the thumbnail I had here, the big match going into Scotland that everyone is talking about is Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest. One of the reasons people are talking about this is CM Punk. Why CM Punk? Because CM Punk could screw over Drew McIntyre from winning the world championship. Drew McIntyre has had this happen before, and it was from Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline when he wrestled Roman Reigns in Wales at Clash at the Castle. Does Drew McIntyre not walk out the World Heavyweight Champion? I want to know what you guys think about this, because Drew McIntyre, to me, is doing some of the best heel work of his career. But I have to say, if WWE want to tell a longer story between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, potentially wrestling at a SummerSlam or a big PLE when CM Punk is cleared, then Damian Priest is more than likely walking out the World Heavyweight Champion. The other thing to think about is Damian Priest has really only began his World Championship run. So if he loses it this quick in Scotland, Damian Priest, I don't think is going to get that title back anytime soon. And I'm not sure what Damian Priest would do next without the World Championship. It's a slippery slope to kind of go down on, what could really happen with this match. And there's no Judgment Day. There's no Judgment Day, just like how Roman Reigns wrestled Drew McIntyre. There was no bloodline because the bloodline were taken out by, I believe, Drew McIntyre the SmackDown before. So there was no Sami Zayn, there was no Usos, no Paul Heyman even, there was no insurance policy, and it had to be Solo Sikoa to step up in that role and join the bloodline and screw over Drew McIntyre. Man, there's so much that could be said to this match. There's a lot of different possibilities. To me, I'm looking at Damian Priest retaining the World Championship. I don't think Drew McIntyre walks out the World Champion, and it pains me to say that. It does pain me to say that, but again, you just had Damian cash in on McIntyre, right? Damian is fresh off being a champion. Does he lose the belt that quickly? Does that bring Damian Priest further down the card? That's another thing to discuss here, is what happens at Damian Priest if Drew McIntyre does win the World Championship? And the other point to make is, does Drew McIntyre need to be world champion right now? If you are going to do CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, does it need to be for the World Championship? The other factor to talk about, there's so many layers with this, is that Gunther has a championship match waiting for him at SummerSlam. He won the King of the Ring. One of the benefits from winning King of the Ring now is you get a championship match at SummerSlam. The same thing we talked about earlier with Nia Jax and Bayley. Gunther's going to be facing whoever that world champion is. And to me, Gunther and Damian Priest isn't a bad match for the world championship, while you have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre as one of the other matches on the show. It sucks for Drew McIntyre. It does, because I do want to see him as world champion and have, a long run. But honestly, what does Drew McIntyre have to complain about at this point? If he does not win, if he does win the world championship, what does Drew McIntyre have to complain about? If he is world champion, Drew McIntyre doesn't really have that much to complain about other than CM Punk. But at that point, you are the world champion. So who cares about CM Punk? CM Punk's not even cleared. He's not even he's not even a contender for the world championship if he does win. And I would love to see Drew McIntyre and Gunther in a one-on-one match. But again, are we rushing that? Drew McIntyre just re-signed a new contract with WWE. Drew McIntyre and Gunther can happen down the road. It could happen when Gunther is world champion. So we're going to put some comments up here. I'm going to let kind of the chat speak a little bit here. And you guys tell me what you guys think is going to happen with this whole thing. But my money right now, Damian Priest is going to retain that world championship. It could be because of CM Punk. The other factor could be because of Liv Morgan. There's no match here for Liv Morgan to compete on, but Liv Morgan technically is not a part of the Judgment Day. I saw somebody mention before that Carlito isn't an official member of the Judgment Day, but I think Carlito interfering would kind of be, kind of flat, because Carlito isn't on the same stature as far as popularity goes right now as of Punk and Liv Morgan. So I don't think Carlito's going to not retain. I don't think Carlito's going to interfere in this match. Imagine Carlito walks out the world champion. That would really be confusing. But let's put up some comments here and let's see what you guys are thinking. I'm going to start at the top here a little bit and kind of go down. Liv cost Damian the title. Another scenario that could happen at Clash at the Castle. Liv costing Damian the title, new champion, Drew McIntyre. Jake says Damian Priest, Punk screws Drew out of winning the title. Curbs' hot take is that I've really been enjoying Damian Priest's title run. And I spoiled it earlier. Drew not winning the title is becoming a part of his character, and I kind of love that. Again, we kind of mentioned, what does Drew McIntyre have to complain about if he is the world champion? And I understand that, some people might say, well, what about his moment? His moment was at WrestleMania. Regardless, how long it was, Drew McIntyre did win the world title in front of fans. He did win that world title in front of fans. So he did get to have a WrestleMania moment in front of fans. So that's the other thing you kind of have to consider here as well. Drew losing wasn't guaranteed for me until the Judgment Day got barred from ringside, because it set up the exact way for Drew to lose again and make Punk and Drew even more heated than it was. And, Punk might get booed out of the building at that pay-per-view. Or PLE, excuse me. I want Drew to win, but he probably won't. Don't see Punk in Scotland because he's definitely going to need extra security, especially getting in the airport. I don't even know if that was I don't know if that was a joke or if I'm missing it. Is it because of the brawl out? I don't know. Going to be Drew versus Punk SummerSlam for the title. Okay, that's interesting. But then what happens to Gunther? Again, Gunther did win the King of the Ring. So that match was also said to be at SummerSlam. So if, Gunther is not going to get his championship match at SummerSlam, that is kind of false advertising, and it goes against, long-term booking. I would definitely kind of question why WWE would do that after saying that on television. In fact, I thought Drew getting screwed was so entertaining that I had him getting screwed twice. Once here, twice at Money in the Bank. Interesting. Imagine Ludwig wins Money in the Bank and cashes in on Gunther. That'd be interesting. I think they'd have to build up Ludwig a little bit. Also, what happened to Giovanni Vinci? He got drafted to SmackDown and has not been on the show. Jake says Punk costing Drew out of winning the title in his home country builds more to the feud with Drew and Punk. I definitely agree. Steven says give Drew his moment getting the title. He's been doing all right during the pandemic with the title. And he kind of said what I alluded to earlier. Gunther does have a shot. Steven thinks that he's going to wait for that championship shot, but I don't see WWE false advertising that. Curb says, I think if Liv gets involved, it will be Priest's favor. Liv wants to take everything away from Ripley, including her own group. Helping Damian would only make her one step closer. Interesting. It's, again, there's a lot of rabbit holes. There's a lot of discussion that can really be said about this world championship match at Clash at the Castle. But I'm going to have to agree with a lot of you in the chat that are saying Damian Priest. I understand, Drew McIntyre getting his moment, in front of those fans. But I think Drew had his moment at WrestleMania. He did win the championship. He got that moment, and then we were able to move to a new star in Damian Priest. So I think Damian, this is Damian's time to shine with the world title, and I think he loses it potentially at SummerSlam to Gunther. And then you get Drew and Punk for, maybe just a grudge match rather than it being for, a championship. I could totally just see it being a grudge match. And I think Curbs is right. I think it might have been Curbs or Jake said it in the chat that, when you look at Punk and you look at Drew McIntyre, it's been a big grudge that have been between these two since the Royal Rumble. I don't know if you really need to put the world title in that scenario to help build that even more. So, all in all, when I look at this Clash at the Castle card, I think it's going to be a very good show. We have 5 really good matches. Maybe another one will be added. But the 2 world title matches look great. Gable and Sami Zayn looks great. And I think Piper Niven and Bayley are going to do a good job. And all the women that are in that tag match, I'm expecting them that they're going to do a great job. I think they're going to go out there and kill it. Interesting question. 3 Money in the Banks for CM Punk. Does CM Punk win the Money in the Bank ladder match? It's an interesting idea. Whenever it comes to Money in the Bank, I feel like I'm wrong. You know, I don't know why. I just feel like sometimes when I predict Money in the Bank, it kind of doesn't go my way. But I wouldn't be necessarily against that, although I don't know if WWE are going to be as quick to put the belt on CM Punk. Some other news I have here, I might butcher the name, but Utami Hashishida will be wrestling Io Sky in Marigold's Summer Destiny 2024 event. And this is going to be a big dream match, especially just in general for women's wrestling. And it's cool to see Io Sky wrestling in another promotion. Really shows that WWE are going to open their doors a little bit and expand. Other things, I know we're running a little bit longer than usual, but we did have some tech issues. Dax Harwood, AEW news. He was injured and has been injured for a couple months. He's been working hurt. He admitted that he hid the injury from AEW Medical, and that is coming from Dax Harwood himself. That is not coming from someone else. Some of the matches that we got on Forbidden Door, the AEW World Championship match, which we talked about, Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay. We got Moxley versus Naito, which I mean, that's going to be a great match. The TNT Championship ladder match, Konosuke Takeshita versus Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry. More to be announced with that. I believe there's still a tournament going on for that. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy. I was kind of hoping that we would get Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. I'm not sure if that's happened already yet. I might have missed that. But if that match hasn't happened yet, I feel like that's just a crime. We need that match to happen at some point. Forbidden Door does look like a great show. It is going to be in New York. Should be a really good show for both promotions, and it will be interesting to see that main event between Swerve and Will Ospreay to see who walks out the champion, or potentially a double champion. But I don't think Swerve will be losing this long into his championship run. We got a comment from Curbs. I think Gunther versus Jay is way more likely at SummerSlam than Priest versus Gunther. Top babyface versus the top heel makes more sense. Plus, Jay has the best odds. Okay. I mean, I'm not against it, but I do think Jey Uso is going to be involved somewhat in a bloodline angle. This is the way I'm thinking. And the other thing to think about too is Money in the Bank is through both brands. So if that is the case, he could interact with Tama Tonga, or he could interact with, Solo Sikoa. So it would be interesting to see that. But with that said, I think that is everything that is going on in the news. It did happen, and it was a technical marvel. Yeah, I mean, when you got Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson in the ring, I mean, that's going to be off the charts. I mean, it's just going to be an incredible sight to see. I guess I missed that one. Maybe I wanted to watch. Did that happen last year? Maybe I just missed on it. I'll have to look it up and try to find it, because I guess I missed that match. That would have been a great one to see. But that's going to do it here for the Scoop Slam report for tonight. Wherever you are right now, East Coast, West Coast, live, or watching this on the playback, thank you. Thank you for watching the Scoop Slam report. If you guys can, before we get out of here for tonight, make sure the like button if you already haven't. You can subscribe if you are new to the channel for wrestling stuff. The Scoop Slam Report podcast. I'm hoping to have some guests potentially next week. I don't have anything confirmed as of next week, but I do have some stuff coming up in the future where we're going to have some prediction shows. We're going to have some on-air guests, which I'm excited to have on the show, especially with the equipment. I'm hoping that it's not going to buffer as much. That kind of sucked a little bit in the beginning of the show, which I'm probably going to edit out. But, with the guests coming on, different content creators, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad I got to do predictions with y'all again. I missed it. Yeah. I think I'm gonna do prediction shows. The last week before the pay-per-view, we'll do predictions. I think that's gonna be the goal in mind for me is to definitely have more prediction shows when big events are coming up. And I'm hoping to have, like I said, some guests with that and some other creators to come on. And I'm hoping this will, cooperate and it won't be as laggy for everyone. I'm gonna watch this later and see how it looked and what I can kind of improve on. With that said, though, I appreciate everyone that has joined the channel on the Anthony Leonetti Show. Like I said, make sure to subscribe. If you want to become a member and support the channel further, you can do that. Super chat, super thanks. I think they're the same thing, but all that stuff's open. If you want to become a member, go right ahead. You'll still get all the content you see, plus a little bit more perks and some different things you'll get to see on the channel. I think you'll get to also see videos posted before anyone else gets to see them. So, and I'm thinking about maybe doing behind the scenes stuff too. But we'll kind of see when it gets there when we get some members in the chat. So, thank you so much to everyone watching. I have been the Anthony Leonetti. And I hope to catch you all on the next one. For the next episode, the Scoop Slam Report, episode 3, that'll be live next week. I'll have a scheduled live stream for that coming up soon. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. We got Clash at the Castle. I know a lot of people are hyped up for that. I am as well. And it should be a great show. I hope to see you all very soon right here on the Anthony Leonetti Show and the Scoop Slam Report. Let's get out of here. Thank you, everyone. Catch you soon.